Hey, John Jones here for another morning of Tuesday Morning Coffee. I want to share with you a story today that I read over the internet while I was researching for something, and it's a story I heard years ago, but I'd forgotten it, and it touched me then, and it touched me now, and I'm going to basically share the story with you. I'm not going to read it, I'm going to kind of put it in my own words, but basically the gist of the story is about a guy named Kyle. And the guy telling the story basically says that, one day he was coming home from school, and he noticed a boy that was carrying all his books home from school, and he kind of thought for himself, hey, this guy must be a nerd, because who carries all their books home? It was on a Friday afternoon. So as he was watching the boy, he noticed two other kids come up, push him down, knock all his books out, and just run off laughing. He kind of felt for the boy, so he went by and he bent down and helped him pick up the books. He basically said something to the guy, those guys are jerks, and they should get a life, or something to that effect. And this kid looked at him with a smile and just said thank you, and it was a smile of gratitude. As he picked up his books, he asked him where he lived, and he walked on home with him. He realized they didn't live that far apart, so he asked the boy why he had never seen him before. It turned out the boy had gone to a private school. Kyle was his name, by the way. He introduced himself as Kyle. Had gone to a private school the year before, and that's the reason they had never met. Well, as he got to know him on the way walking him to his home, he asked him if he would like to come out and play football with some of his friends the next day, and of course Kyle accepted. And over the weekend, they spent the whole weekend together, and he realized that this is a pretty cool kid, and he really enjoyed him, and all his friends did too. So as time went on, they ended up over the next 4 years becoming really, really good friends. This kid was kind of a late bloomer, Kyle, and as the story is told, he fills out nicely, turns into a real nice looking young man, and also a really good student. Well, as graduation rolls around, they kind of get together. Kyle's a valedictorian, so he has to give a speech. It turns out that Kyle got accepted to Georgetown. The friend got accepted to Duke. But they knew that they would always probably stay in touch. And anyway, Kyle gets up to do his graduation speech, and he talks about the normal, graduation is the time that we think about all those in the past that have helped us, and whether it's a special teacher, coach, teacher, whatnot. But he also said about the friendships, and then he went on to tell the story that had the young man in just total disbelief, because he told a story of how that day, that Friday, he was going home to end his life. He was depressed. He didn't have any friends, and he had cleaned out his whole locker. Thus, the reason he had all the books, because he didn't want his parents to have to go back and do it after his death. That really impacted me. And he talked about the small gestures you can make in someone's life, even whether you know it or not, can have a huge impact. And I feel like that's what God has called us to do, and to always be looking at opportunities to show kindness and to help our fellow man. And I guess I find this story pretty relevant in this time when you read so many stories or watch so many stories on TV about all the bad things people are going through, financially, economically, people losing their homes, just all the different things, and how we can help them. It can relate just in any aspect of your life. I'm in real estate sales, and a story of one of my agents a few years ago comes to mind when I think of this. He was called to come out and show a home to somebody. As he got out there, he realized pretty quick that they were already working with an agent. Their agent just happened to be out of town. So, that's kind of frustrating for an agent. You're always going out there hopefully to meet a potential buyer. So a lot of agents would just blow that off and basically say, hey, we'll call your agent. They can show you the home, or just kind of be pretty, flippant with the matter, and just kind of maybe open the house and hurry up and get out of here type attitude. But this particular agent said, I was already out there, so I just spent the time. The people were great. I met them. They were, really nice people. Showed them, helped them every way I possibly could, and all while knowing there was probably no commission that would ever be made from this act. Well, what happened was, it turned out those people did end up staying loyal to their agent and bought a house through their agent. But what they did do is they referred, I'm not sure if it was a friend or family member, to this agent a few weeks later, because of how well he treated them that day. And since that time, that agent has gotten many referrals from that sale, and also from the person that sent him the first referral. So I'm not saying you don't do things with the thought of, what's in it for me, but if you do things from your heart, normally good things will happen to you. So I hope that story, you liked it. It always brings a tear to my eye when I read it, and it just kind of wakes me up to say, you know what, there's a lot of people hurting out there, and there's always just a nice smile sometimes at the convenience store, at the grocery store, or a pat on the back, or helping somebody do something without being asked is one of the best gifts you can give somebody. So anyway, thanks. Look forward to seeing you next week.